بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us all the sincere intention and the proper comprehension. Allahumma ameen. So last week, we went over the first two advices of the four advices that I mentioned to you we would go over, inshallah. The third advice is having the desire to acquire and teach the Islamic knowledge. So each one of us should direct their effort to gaining more Islamic knowledge and spreading it. Shaykh Samir, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, he said, I encourage all of the parents and our brothers and sisters who have finished their high school studies to enroll into Alif for a year or two at least, if they can, as this will greatly benefit them. And Alif is a program that they have. You can attend physically in Philadelphia, in the US, or you can attend online. And it's a way for the students of knowledge to continue to further their studies and acquire more Islamic knowledge, and especially the Arabic language. And in the UK, we have a program that is very similar to Alif, which is called the Islamic Academy of Britain, IAB. Both of which are great, outstanding programs that offer different Arabic, Quran, and Islamic courses for students at different levels. So I would encourage everyone to take this step if they're able to. If they haven't already done something like this, take this step if you are able to. And don't miss out on this opportunity while it's available. And if one is not able to enroll into one of these programs for whatever reason, then they should still not neglect learning and furthering their Islamic studies. So Shaykh Samir said, if someone was not able to do such a program, he said, then I encourage you to have a person to specify someone in every area and to task them with taking care of these people and teaching them. Even if this person teaches them, meaning, even if this person teaches only them every day if he can. So Shaykh Samir, he's advising people to set up in their different towns, in their different communities, a program whereby one person is teaching a group of people different Islamic topics, if you want, strengthening them religiously. So if they can't do a program that offers that for you, with courses and different instructors, teachers, and sheikhs, and so on, then at least you can set up something wherever you are in the world. You can bring this to your AICP center, wherever you are. You can mention this to them. And they can set something up in such a way that someone would be teaching a group of people, parents, and students that have finished high school, for example. He said if the person can do this every single day, teach these people every day, then set that up. Set it up that way. If not, at least 3 days a week. 3 days a week. He said, so that they are not left throughout most of their time to the people of deviance. If people's times are not filled in the proper way, then what will they fill their time with? This is what he's saying. You can imagine, especially students that just finished high school, maybe a lot of them have phones, maybe they have laptops, they will go online, they will have like TikTok and things like that. What will they be left with? What will their time be filled with? And this is how the people of deviance start to harm some people through social media and the like. They start to have an effect on people through these mediums. So he's saying, if you set up something like that, this would instead strengthen these Muslims in their religious knowledge. It gives them a strength, a strong foundation, so that if someone comes to try to harm them, they can't, because this person has a strong foundation, a strong basis that they stick to. And such a program would make them firm and steadfast. It would also help them, he said, in facing hardships. It would strengthen their understanding, and it would aid them in teaching others and transmitting the religion. He said this is something important, very important. He said these shabab, these young people, if they are not cared for, then what will happen to them and what will happen to us? After some time passes, we will die. Isn't that the case? He said, and some of us may grow weak. And we see this, if you look at what's happening to even people that we know around the world, every so often we hear of someone that passes away, right? At times, it's someone who is like a teacher figure or a sheikh. And we see many of our teachers getting older and growing weaker physically, right? What a person used to be able to do, for example, in their 30s or 40s, they may not be able to do in their 60s. He said, so what will happen to the da'wah, the call to al-Islam, the spreading of the authentic Islamic knowledge, if there is no one there to take care of it and no one properly equipped to carry it forward? He said, I don't think I need to elaborate further. The matter is clear. What's important now is to act upon this understanding. Wherever there is an opportunity to implement this program, if you want, that he's speaking about, he said we should do so. And if it cannot be implemented in a certain place, then we strive to create the means to make it possible. We work, we plan, and we put in the effort so that this goal can be achieved. And Sheikh Husam, Hafidahullah Ta'ala, may Allah protect him, he is the president of AICP worldwide. He said that our main focus is the teacher and the student. Meaning, in the da'wah, this is the main focus, really. There are many things that facilitate this, that go on. They're put there to facilitate this focus. But this is the focus, the teacher and the student, and ways to facilitate the knowledge from one to the other. That's what he said. That our main focus is the teacher and the student, and ways to facilitate the knowledge from one to the other. And this happens in different ways, facilitating the knowledge from one to the other. Yani, whether that be coordinating an event, for example, or ordering some chairs, or ordering food, or decorating the hall, for example, or cleaning the centers, or following up with matters, chasing up certain things, or knocking on doors, or passing out leaflets, and especially having family gatherings at home and inviting friends and neighbors, etc. Gatherings where the knowledge is spread. Maybe a speaker is invited and they give like a 15, 20 minute, 30-minute lecture or benefit or lesson. All of that aids this main focus of spreading the knowledge. And there's a lot that goes into that. Yani, a gathering like that to bring the people, usually, for example, you'll have like people that are cooking, people that are making tea, for example, people that are bringing out like cookies and biscuits and stuff. All of that, and you can imagine there are so many other things that go on behind the scenes. All of that is, in a way, facilitating for this main focus to take place, which is for the teacher to benefit the student, for the knowledge to spread to other people. Sheikh Samir, may Allah protect him and benefit us by him, he said, if we don't have teachers, if there are no teachers, then who will teach? And if we don't have students, then who will learn? From there, that takes us to speaking about another matter. And it is the matter that is pertaining to our children. Our teachers said that children are like wealth. They are a fitna. What's a fitna or a tribulation? A fitna here, it means a test, a trial. So children are like wealth. Isn't it the case that people are tested with money and having wealth? They're also tested with offspring. They're also tested with having children. As Sheikh Samir said, it is not the case that one's children are the ones that bring the parents closer to the acceptance of Allah. That is not the case. What happens with many people is that they have children, and their children become further reasons for these parents to fall into more sins and to neglect more of the orders of Allah. That's what happens to many, many people. Likewise, one's wealth, one's money, one's properties, one's wealth. It is not what brings one closer to the acceptance of Allah. So what brings one closer to the acceptance of Allah? It is one's good deeds that bring one closer to the acceptance of Allah. Our good deeds, what we do. So it's not that thing, that endowment that Allah granted you in itself, like your wealth or your child, that will bring you closer to the acceptance of Allah. No. That alone is not what brings you closer to the acceptance of Allah. It's what you do. It's what you acquire. It is the deed that you acquire, that you set your heart on, that you intend to do for the sake of Allah, and you acquire, and it becomes your deed, an acquisition of yours. So the intelligent Muslim keeps this reality at the forefront of their mind at all times. You and I, we will be alone in our grave, right? Our parents, they will not be with us, nor will they be able to protect us from the punishment of Allah, if Allah willed to punish us. Neither will our spouses, children, teachers, or friends. So, in this life, others can guide us. They can advise us. They can point us toward what is right. Yani, point us in the right direction. But if we choose to follow a different path, if we choose our desires, for example, over obedience to Allah, then who will bear the consequence of that? We will bear the consequences of that choice alone. And that is why a person must prioritize their hereafter and strive to be safe after death. Each one of us, even if one of us has kids and family members and many people around them, at the end of the day, you're going to be alone in your grave. None of those people can come and save you. None of them. So we must not allow, and I ask Allah to grant me and you to truly implement this. We must not allow our family members, friends, and especially our children to lead us into sin, to lead us into what is forbidden, or to distract us from what truly matters, from what needs to be done. If we do that, we are the ones that are going to face the consequence. So the matter requires strength. Strength of mind, yani intelligence, and wisdom, some wisdom, and firmness. Some people, when it comes to their children, subhanallah, they would do anything. And I don't mean that as a praise. I mean they would fall into sins for their children. This is not a praise. The one who is praised is the one that obeys Allah no matter what. Not the one who obeys their children no matter what. Because you and your children are owned by Allah. And your children are a test for you from Allah. Are you going to obey Allah and disobey your children? Or are you going to obey your children and disobey Allah? Sheikh Samir said, what a person leaves behind of wealth as inheritance after their death is not what benefits them in the hereafter, nor is simply having many children. So many people, they think that acquiring lots of wealth in this life and leaving it behind for their children is the way to success. And that is not true. It was known about some of the highly righteous Muslims of the past that they would spend all of their wealth during their lifetime in ways that Allah accepts, by supporting the da'wah in different ways, by helping the poor and the needy, by spending on the orphans and the widows, for example, and sending to their graves as many good deeds as they can before they entered them, before they entered their graves. This is what they did. They were very intelligent. And these were Muslims that were married, and they had children, and they had dependents. And they were good Muslims. These were good Muslims, compassionate Muslims, Muslims with a good understanding and good common sense, Muslims with illuminated hearts. They weren't harsh people that didn't want goodness for others. No, they did. But they know that what Allah gives them of wealth, for example, is a test for them. What are they going to do with it? And each person has a share of what Allah gives. Each person has that. Each person has their own sustenance. What will you do with the sustenance that Allah gave you, specified for you? Because it's a test for you. You can do good with it, or you can use it for this dunya in a way that will not benefit you in your hereafter. You can do that. So these people, they would fulfill what Allah made an obligation upon them, like having dependents and so on. And then they would use what they had left of wealth for their hereafter. What do you think their situation is right now in their graves? Do you think they are regretting that they used the remainder of their wealth and belongings for the sake of Allah instead of passing them out on their family members, just so their family members can have more of the dunya? I don't mean that they were preventing their family members from what is better. No. Because you can do things for your family members with a good intention and you will see the reward for that in the hereafter. But that's not even what I'm talking about. But some people, they just want more so they can do more in the dunya. And subhanAllah, these people, some of these pious people, they were criticized for this, for using the remainder of their wealth for the sake of Allah. But they were not deterred by that. For they were truly wise. They chose what endures, what lasts, over what fades. And they preferred the reward in the hereafter and the comfort in their grave over the fleeting pleasures of this temporary, transitory world. So merely having wealth is not the answer, unless it is used for the sake of Allah, seeking the reward from Him alone. SubhanAllah, that's why some of the pious people, whenever some wealth was facilitated for them, SubhanAllah, they got in the habit of getting rid of it as soon as they got it. Like they get it now, they find a way to get rid of it. They find a way to give it to someone who is in need of it, or for them to use it in the way that Allah accepts, like to strengthen the religion of Islam somehow. This is extremely rewardable, immensely rewardable. For the person to spend their money on the da'wah, this is very rewardable. If they were sincere, subhanallah. And Allah knows best how many calamities them and their families would be spared from because this person chose to do that. Some of these pious people, it was mentioned that they wouldn't be able to sleep at night unless they got rid of that money or that wealth that came to them. They wouldn't be able to sleep. And there are some people that they have so much and they sleep comfortably. They have so much. And people die every day and they leave behind so much that they could have used, and I mean Muslims, so much that they could have used for the sake of Allah. So much that they could have gained so much reward for if they distributed it in the way that Allah accepts. They would have been so happy in their graves. Instead, these people, most of the people, they leave behind so much. And many times it goes to people that don't even care about the one who left it. And at times it goes to people that use it to commit sins, that use it on drugs, for example, or alcohol, or very bad things. Or they use it in a way that is wasteful. They just waste it. They waste it without getting any benefit out of it. When you think like that, you think, subhanallah, if Allah gave you an intelligent mind, you would say, well, let me use this for my hereafter. Who will care about your hereafter if you don't? That's another thing. If we don't care about our own hereafter, who else will, especially after we die? And in caring for our hereafter, there is a lesson for our family members and our kids and our children in that, isn't there? You're teaching them to do the same for their hereafter. And like we said, those who have many children, thinking that this alone will benefit them in the hereafter, they are mistaken. People of the past used to think that, and even people nowadays, some people nowadays think this, that having many children and many offspring and a large family, this in itself will be the benefit for them. They are mistaken. This is not true. For you will find many people with numerous offspring, yet it is rare to find someone who is truly pious, especially today. The idol worshippers used to say, had it not been the case that Allah accepted us and accepts what we do, He would not have given us all that we have. They thought that this was a proof for Allah's acceptance of them, that they were successful because they were given so much. That's not true. They were idol worshippers. They were amongst the worst of the creation. And Qarun used to say, had Allah not accepted me, He would not have given me all of this wealth. He was extremely rich. He thought that that great wealth that he had was a sign of Allah's acceptance of him. And it was not. So this is not the scale that we as Muslims use to measure with. We don't weigh the matters by such a scale. Can you benefit from your wealth? Yes, of course. You will benefit from only the part of your wealth that you have used for the sake of Allah. That's the only part you will benefit from. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith, نِعْمَ الْمَالُ الصَّالِحِ لِلرَّجُلِ الصَّالِحِ, which means what a good thing it is for a pious person to have halal money. He earns it, attains it from a halal source, and because he's pious, he's not a sinful person, he will use it in the way Allah accepts. because this person is not going to just waste it like that. He's a pious person or she's a pious person. So the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, he praised the pious people that have money. Halal money, of course, we're talking about. Because a pious person will deal with their money in ways that the sinful person will not, usually. Usually, a sinful person is a major sinner, let's say, for example, they are more likely to use the money to commit sins and to follow their desires, right? Whatever their desire may be, they're major sinners. As for the pious person, and it takes work, to reach piety. We know this. The pious person, they are careful what they use their money on. So the Prophet said, نِعْمَ الْمَالُ الصَّالِحِ لِلرَّجُلِ الصَّالِحِ. What a great thing it is for a pious person to have good money, halal money, because he has an opportunity to gain so much reward with that money. And one time the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, he was told by one of his wives, we gave a sheep in charity, and all of it is gone except for az-zira', the arm or shoulder, if you want. So the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, responded, rather, all of it remains except for the arm. This means that in reality, what remains is what is preserved for the hereafter. So if you give something for the sake of Allah, actually that's what remains for you. What was given in charity is what remains. What was done for the sake of Allah, that is what remains, really. As for what wasn't, what was just wasted, used up without a good intention, although you may have felt some pleasure from it if you ate something, for example, or you bought something else, or you did something with that money, it's actually wasted because you will not find the benefit of that in the hereafter. So what was kept and not used for the sake of Allah, not given in charity, then that is what is truly lost, because it remained only for this world, this fleeting world. It was not sent for the hereafter, sent to one's grave. It wasn't. And as for having a child, then that alone does not bring one success. Rather, it is what you do regarding that child that may or may not entail reward for you. And insha'Allah ta'ala, we'll talk more about the next advice, which is raising a pious child, next week. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك